Welcome back, everyone. Let's just jump right into working with our Civil 3D tools. So this tool space has a prospector tab, a settings tab, and we've already used this setting tab once in week one when we were looking at creating some point styles. So now we're going to navigate up to the prospector tab, and there is this site area. And I don't know if you see any sites in your file. I can't remember how these got here. But we're going to want to right click on sites, select new, and we're just going to name it. So I'm going to name mine Rob's Subdivision because apparently I own this land and I'm going to be creating a subdivision. And that's all we need to do here, right? So what we have created now is this bucket that all of these smaller areas are going to be dropped into and kept track of. Okay, so we have our site. If I navigate in my prospector over, I have this Rob's subdivision. I can expand it as a plus and see that when I create alignments, they'll live there. When we create parcels, they will live there. So everything that we add is going to live inside this subdivision that we have created. And by living inside of this, I'm going to call it mathematical folder, then Civil is going to keep all of our land straight for us. So we've already put a bit of work, or maybe quite a bit of work, into just drawing a bunch of AutoCAD lines so far. And it is definitely time to start to utilize some Civil 3D commands. So we're going to create these alignments first. So this alignment tool, in fact, I'm going to escape out. We have this whole area right here called Create Design, and this is where we can create basically any land-based feature. So parcels are a piece of land. A feature line is a line that we're going to build some kind of profile along. Could be a creek, could be a railroad, could be a road, could be but a airport, runway, but kind of a flexible line that we can build around. Grading is we're going to either dig away or add to existing land to create a land profile that we're looking for. So it's our land design. Alignments are where we're going to use for the center of a road. Profile is a type of cross section, and we'll get to that for land. We're going to that's further towards the end. So a corridor is what we use is a basically it's a road, and a profile is a subcomponent of a corridor. Intersections are subcomponents of corridors. Assemblies are subcomponents of corridors. And well, pipe networks are completely on their own. It's basically where are we going to put piping underneath the ground. So these are these basic civil components that we're going to deal with. So I'm going to use this alignment command, and we're going to see that through the rest of this whole project, we're basically going to be creating things from existing objects. So in this option, I have create alignment from objects. There's this Civil 3D tool up top called Alignment Creation Tools, and I've probably already ranted about this, but I could come in here and I can create one and I would click OK and I'd have to draw this specific alignment, and I've got all my tools to do it. And I got to tell you, the creation tools are a nightmare. Where I'm completely fluent and familiar with creation tools for lines, I don't need those. So, creation alignment from objects, click it, and it's simply asking me to select a line, and I'm going to simply continue around this particular set of lines. Think about this being one street with one name. Okay, so now we have the objects of one particular street that we want to create. I'm going to press enter, and I get a dialog box as well as some arrows that you can see around the screen. These arrows are indicating which direction my distance labels are going to show up on the drawing. And we're going to come back and talk about this in a minute. But I can either accept the direction that's presented to me, or I can reverse it with an arrow. Ooh, that was not smart. And I now lose my opportunity to reverse it again. So I'm going to click cancel. So alignment from objects, pick my center line, street objects, press enter, and now I'm going to again hit reverse again because I wanted the original configuration. You can see the arrows going counterclockwise. Alright, so we are going to name this thing, how about Eagle Avenue. And the alignment we're creating is a center line, and we do want to put it on a site. We want to put it on our site, so mine is Rob's Subdivision. It is a proposed alignment style. So currently our piece of land is this blank outline. And then we're going to ask, do we want to put labels on this thing? And the answer is yes, we do. We have a whole bunch of different styles and options. We only want to put major and minor labels on, and we'll see what they are in a second. And we do not want Civil 3D to add curves between what Civil 3D is calling tangents. What they mean is straight lines. So if I had brought these two lines right here to a straight corner, I could ask Civil to add a radius there of a specified size. We've already created the geometry we want. We don't need Civil to add any more. And I'm going to uncheck erase existing entities. This is really a firm specific or company specific preference. If I leave this checked, Civil 3D is going to promote this line area, this set of lines and arcs into one particular alignment, and it's going to create that as a new object and put it on a new layer. And Civil 3D will then delete my AutoCAD lines. So some companies really like to leave everything behind, some really don't. For this particular project, I'm just consistently going to uncheck erase existing entities. So I'm going to click OK, and right away we can talk just a little bit more about these labels. I chose to have my direction of labels start at the lower left and go counterclockwise, so my road starts at 0. And this 1 plus 0, 0 indicates that I've now traveled 100 feet along the road. When I arrive at this tick mark, I've gotten halfway between 100 and 200, so I've now traveled 150 feet. There's 200, 300, etc., etc. If I come to the end, I see 1900 and then a mess. So all that means is this last label is trying to give me an accurate representation of where that last point is, and I'm going to select that line, or my labels, excuse me, and then I'm going to select this last grip, and I'm just going to drag it off its original location. And so now I can see that I have them all lined up, sort of. And this last point exists at 1900 feet and 19 feet. So what does that mean? Civil 3D is going to give us the last point on our road, and it's not always a fixed, major or minor tick. So we have our first road. So now let's go ahead and put this second one in, and we're going to start to see that this is a pretty repetitive process. I'm coming right back to alignment from objects, and I'm going to pick these 3 lines, and I'm going to press enter. I do want to reverse these, so let's call this one how about red Hawk Street, and it is a center line. And what we're going to start to see is these option boxes start to stick. Still says none for my site. I want it on Rob's subdivision. It is proposed, major and minor. Don't add the curves. Don't erase the entities. Okay, and I'm done. Now, notice what I'm doing here is I come into this last area and I'm immediately, quote, fixing it from a clarity standpoint. And I do this because it's really easy in Civil 3D to lose track of the amount of annotation that's going in. And then things don't get cleaned up later. So I tend to kind of try and keep my projects clean right from the start. I'm going to do another one. Alignment from objects. I'll click this one small section, press enter, and I'm going to reverse it so the arrow is pointing up. And let's name this one Hummingbird. Way. I do want it on a site, and I do not want curves, and I do not want to erase my entities, and I'm okay. Let's see, so this doesn't look too bad. I'll leave that. And what do we look like up here? That looks okay for now. So let's do the next one. You can guess what tool we're going to use. Alignment from objects. I'm going to select it. That's the only piece on this particular road, and I am going to reverse it, and we're going to name this one Robin Way. No, we're not. I lied to you. We're going to name this Robin Lane. And I definitely want it on a site, and I do not want to erase or do not want to add curves, and I do not want to erase entities. Click OK, and I have one more to do. Alignment from objects, and I'm going to select these three, press enter. I finally get one where I would like that direction. I'm going to press enter, and let's get off the bird theme and call this one Shark Highway. Put it on a site. I missed the right site. There's Rob's subdivision. And don't add curves and don't erase entities. Click OK. And so now if I zoom in here, I kind of have a bit of a mess that I'm going to clean up. I'll make an attempt to drag one off. Civil 3D just froze there for a second. Let's see. I'll leave that 300 there and drag this end up. There we go. Alright, so at this point we actually have all of our alignments in now. And I will say what you will notice is that we also have two pieces of graffiti sticking here. There's a property 1 5.06 acres and property 2 1.89 acres. And the question is, well, what is up with that and what is it? So Civil 3D, remember we have a site, and every time Civil 3D sees a civil entity completely enclosed, Civil 3D is going to begin to divide out this land. So what's enclosed is going to get a particular database property, and this database property is saying that, hey, the amount of land that exists inside this alignment is 5.06 acres. And I'm guessing that your project doesn't look like this. It says something else. We'll deal with that in a few minutes. But also notice we have this property 2, and it exists because these alignments completely enclose this piece of land, and that enclosed piece of land is 1.89 acres. And so we're going to end up creating all of these parcels and these parcels will continue to subdivide land. All right, so I am going to pause and kind of get a sense of whether we're at a good place to stop, or whether we should continue in this section. All right, so I think we are at a really good stopping point, and hope this is adding some clarity and is helpful, and we will see you in the next section.